Welcome, everyone. How about that game right before this, huh? I put it in the title. It's worth the title. It is Real Madridness because Real is something I have not seen at all with this roster. That game essentially changed in 3 minutes and 42 seconds is the absolute complete turnaround of that game. Unfortunately for the Bayern folk, heartbreaking. I hate to be an asshole here, but you paid 80 million for a defender that decided to play an offside trap in a low block. I guess maybe DeLitt just doesn't have a shred of common fucking sense. But again,
After a set piece, a low block after a set piece.
A low block. I feel for Bayern Munich for paying 80 million for that bum, as Kendrick Lamar would say, because speaking of terms of Kendrick Lamar, essentially Real Madrid pulled a Kendrick Lamar on Bayern Munich because they hit them so fast they didn't know they got hit. But
absolutely.
We're going to talk some Champions League. We'll recap the Champions League, and then we'll also talk because this is interesting because everybody's kind of turned on the Juventus Ultra, so we'll kind of talk about that. I saw this on Discord, Gary Southgate to be Man United's next coach.
Oh, baby. But that's a topic for me.
Oh, that's going to be some fun. We'll talk about Italiano making it to the final again. How your boy, I just hopped on the bandwagon. I'm going to officially state that. Dave bought the idea. I bought the idea.
Everybody's allowed on the bandwagon. I'm just the driver of this train.
That's fair. Choo choo. So we'll talk about some Italiano and how he and Andrea Bellotti have taken Fiorentina to the finals, more than likely against Olympiacos. I don't believe that Villa will make a comeback. I could be wrong though, but more than likely Fiorentina versus Olympiacos. But honestly, I guess all I can say for Manuel Neuer for that absolute howler is he had one thing on his mind, and it was this.
You just wake up and then your heart is just pumping. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so those moments are crazy.
But anyways, let's get into the Champions League. I'm going to start with the Real Madrid match first because we'll troll Mbappe and PSG after this. But what a game.
Fresh off the bakery.
What a game. I mean, Real Madrid pressing the entire game, relentless pursuit. I mean, like, for example, Davies just gets that go-ahead goal really out of nowhere, right? I mean, Bayern didn't show much initially. Real Madrid was just coming in and coming and clip that because I'm still going to say it anyways.
Coming.
But really, it was just something I don't know, because like Real equalized within a minute. It gets called because of, a foul. This is where VAR kind of pisses me off, like a magical slap in the face. But I think it's poetic justice more so just how the way ended, right? Because Bayern Munich tried shithousing, and the person that they were utilizing for the shithousing fumbled the ball, like literally fumbled it. And then DeLitt just not being a center back. He forgot he was playing center back, trying to do an offside trap. German Dave, what do you want to go on this for? What's your thoughts?
Dude, it was what I expected the first 80 minutes. It was like Madrid pressing the whole game and trying to go for the goal, but they fucked around with their foot for the whole game basically. And what I thought would happen happened, and Bayern scored one, and that's how I expected it to happen. But honestly, I thought it will happen earlier, and that Madrid will have more time, and that yes, everybody thought that Real will score one goal at least at home. So it was coming, and it's unfortunate for Bayern that it happened that late. But when they started shithousing, the players dropping and the time wasting and everything, that's when I thought, dude, karma or God or once again, whoever you believe in will come for them. And it came in the form of Joselu. Actually, again, a German-born that played in the Bundesliga for a couple of years.
Joselu for me was the least expected player to make a difference that game.
Yeah, but they had to. they needed the goal. He is a striker. He was like bigger than Vinny Jr., than Rodrigo, than their front line before basically, and he was basically what we sent Milik into games for.
Yeah.
He was their Milik in this game, and dude, this was just once again the Real Madrid magic. Dude, if you blink with an eye, they will hit you. It was the same, dude. Manchester City dominated the game, had the position. They just blinked once, and bam, the ball was in.
Well,
And also, I just want to take this moment. Diego Simeone is the only coach to beat Real Madrid this season. The one in the Copa, what's it? In the Copa del Rey, and one in La Liga. The only two losses, and both were at the Metropolitano, so in Atletico Stadium. So Madrid is unbeaten in the Bernabeu this season. Incredible.
I kind of want to touch on this briefly because I'm watching X too. I love Buffon, but can you guys stop taking the clip of Neuer fumbling the ball and just being like, "See, this is why Buffon is the greatest of all time."
Dude,
Guys,
you need to
cannot-
chill. Neuer
you
is a
cannot
fucking
compare Neuer and Buffon, two totally different styles of goalkeepers.
yes.
Buffon, excellent shot stopper, one of the best shot stoppers to ever play the game.
Yes.
Neuer reinvented the idea of the role of the goalkeeper. Two totally different things. It is apples to oranges in comparison.
And
It really
by the
is.
way, and we can say it's still two all-time greats. Neuer is an
They
all-time
are.
great. Yeah, dude, every all-time great fumbled. I bet if we go into the YouTube archives or whatever, you'll see Buffon. Like, dude, there's no goalkeeper in the world that hasn't done a mistake. So chill, everybody. And by the way, the man is 38 years old and had 37 years of greatness before that, since being born. So chill out, man.
It's frustrating because I look at it and that's the first thing that people are going for. And it's just like, I love Buffon. I think Buffon hands down had the best reflexes in the game, the best longevity in the game, all of it. But there is one thing he couldn't do that Neuer could do, and that's give you another option playing out of the back. So it's like, stop it. Stop it, people. I understand if you want to be like Vlad and you just want to shit on people, but like when you're seriously actually like, this is one of the posts. No, it's not only solely because of this moment, but please don't ever float the theory that Neuer is the best keeper of all time. Spare yourself the embarrassment. Like, really? Really? The only reason Bayern was in this match was because of Neuer.
Yes.
The only reason. And like, for example, like I said, if it's trolling and throwing banters like Buffon wouldn't have done that, perfectly fine. But if you really want to have an objective GOAT debate and use this as a clip, go fuck yourself and touch grass.
Yeah,
Like, seriously.
objectively, Guillermo Ochoa is the best goalkeeper of all time.
Like that to me is so stupid. And most of those people that want to use that clip in that context have never played keeper before. You know how hard that shot that Vinny took is difficult to save or anticipate? It's a top spin down curving shot. Most goalkeepers don't even make proper contact with it and it goes through them because of it. So stop it, people. Like, that to me is ridiculous. Like I said, Buffon is my number one. But when it comes to, like, for example, being able to play out of the back, being able to be that last defender and having confidence in that guy being that last defender, Neuer's better in that regard. And saying that he's not is absolutely disrespectful. I think Casillas and Buffon are more comparable with how they played keep. I think that's more of a comparison. You can't. It's stop it. Stop it.
Manuel Neuer was the prototype for this generation of the goalkeepers that have developed into ball playing goalkeepers. He was the first to go like up to the center line to receive the balls for and to share them around the box, or going out of his own box to head the ball out, or walk lots of yards towards the opponent half and distributing the ball and everything. His long balls are good. Like his throws up after corners or whatever. If he catches one, his throwing passes or what they are called in English are on point. Like he's the prototypical ball playing goalkeeper. Like he was the guy that started this generation of goalkeeping basically.
And mind you, also, for example, if someone wants to use a horrendous blunder in the Champions League, remember Buffon when he was at PSG against Manchester United? He single-handedly gave Man United the assist to move on to the next round. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you want to troll, that's one thing. That's totally fine. I don't care. If you want to utilize this clip and say, my GOAT debate and my essay is this, it's like, stop it. Someone can pull the Buffon clip against Manchester United and do the same exact thing. It's so stupid. Moving on. The other thing I kind of wanted to touch on more Dortmund as well. Pragmatism gets you into Champions League finals. So this game is the definition of an FU to football hipsters.
Pragmatism nearly gave Bayern the Champions League final as well.
Exactly.
The Real Madrid showed that they can play pragmatic against Manchester City, and they showed against Bayern they can play the hipster going for the game, like quick passes, quick combinations, runs towards the touchline, and doing like a beautiful cut pass into the box and everything. Like Real is the team that can do it all, and the best are teams that can do it all. And they showed it. And also Bayern nearly with pragmatism went in, and PSG that, sorry, but doesn't have a pragmatic method in their philosophy, lost yesterday against Dortmund. Yes, they fucked around with their chances, but they also did that like in the group stages and in all the other knockout stages and in the first leg against Dortmund as well. This has been their identity the whole season, basically, to not score their chances, man.
Yeah, and no, KB, you're not late. It was more so that just because of the game, we decided to just come in live, maybe get some Real Madrid fans as well here to talk about it too. It's just, it's it's something that we needed to really go in live per se. So we had to, and obviously we're going to start covering more teams. So I mean, why not go right after the Champions League? But speaking of Bayern Munich's pragmatism, KB wants Lukaku too. Fine. I'm going to do it when you least expect it. So Bayern Munich 0.38 expected goals, 8 shots the whole match, 5 on target. No big chances that entire game. They got the one. Essentially, they Allegri-esqued it. I think it was more.
Allegri ball. It was Allegri ball. Yep.
I think where they fucked up was they fucked up on Neuer fumbling and De Ligt for some reason playing an offside trap in front of the 6. That to me, any coach that tries to utilize an offside trap when you are that close to your goal line should be fired.
It's indefensible. And after a set piece, it wasn't open play. It was after a set piece.
Yeah,
the assist came from Rüdiger. The assist didn't came from Modric or whoever.
Yeah, it was.
It came from Rüdiger after a corner. I believe it was a corner. The ball got passed a couple of times and arrived at Rüdiger's feet. And dude, how do you play a offside trap there when they are literally like 3 yards in front of your own goal?
You can't. That to me is unforgivable. And then you look at it, for example, who's marking who? Joselu was De Ligt's guy. De Ligt was 3-4 yards upfield.
Wide open. Dude, wide open right in front of the goal.
And De Ligt's supposed to be this generational defender, and you make that error. And that's one of the reasons why I was okay with him being sold 3 years ago at this point, right? Because he makes mistakes like that in serious situations. You should recognize it's Rüdiger. He's going to lob it in the box. What benefit is that going to give Bayern Munich if they win an offside in that position?
Yeah.
You're better off clearing it instead of rolling the dice.
Yeah. Dude, clear to a corner, shoot it right outside the field or whatever. In that moment, you don't take those risks.
No, Vlad, you think it's Dyer's, but when you watch the film, De Ligt's supposed to shut that passing alley. That was 100% on De Ligt when you watch the replay. Because who was De Ligt covering? De Ligt wasn't covering anybody. De Ligt should have thrown out the passing lane. Dyer should have man-marked Joselu, but De Ligt was the first center back that's in that passing lane. So it's like, that to me, that's unforgivable.
Yeah.
You should never, in that point, your defenders need to make sure that they're covering everything in that instance, because it's Rudiger that's throwing that ball in. That's the same thing as if I had Rugani or if I had Bremer. Well, Bremer actually can pass better than Locatelli.
Bremer is a
If I
good
had
passer, man.
Locatelli.
It's not my man.
So it's like that. It's funny. You can take the Dyer out of Tottenham, but you can't. You can say the same
Dude,
for Harry Kane.
and Harry Kane. Dude, the brother can't catch a break, man. Dude, honestly, all of you know I got them hate Bayern Munich, but them, I was like somewhere in the small corner of my heart, I was rooting for Harry Kane to finish his story like Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, man.
He just can't win a trophy to save
He
his life.
can't, dude. It has become, dude. It's a curse. He just can't. He sold the soul for something. He may be the best looking English footballer, but dude, he sold his soul for looks, man. He can't win trophies.
Like, that to me is insane. But
Dude.
and it's Real, and it's interesting, right? Because, like, for example, 3 weeks ago, Real Madrid was at the 0.38 expected goals and got the one and is able to put it in per se, and that's it. It's just Carlo Ancelotti is a guy him and Allegri are essentially the same when it comes to coaching philosophies. When it comes to pragmatism, there's times to turn it up, there's times to do it off. Difference is you look at the versatility and the capability of these players. These players all wanted to win, all of them.
Yeah.
They came for that game and they came for the jugular. And it's like you look at Juve players, they don't have an ounce of drive that these guys have.
And just let me say this, man. We talk about Grinta all the time. We talk about Grinta when we score a late equalizer against Monza or whatever through with a header from Vlahovic after a corner or whatever, and we call that Grinta, which it is in a way. But brother, this today, on the biggest stage of European football, in the dying minutes of a game, this is Grinta.
Oh, absolutely.
This is Grinta, and not what we are doing against Monza or Salernitana, trying to get a desperate tie or last minute W against teams that are about to get relegated.
Yeah, but apparently the Juve management told Romeo that this team is the most professional group of individual professionals that they've ever seen, which I find absolutely ironic. But
dude, nobody's telling Romeo shit. But
yeah, I know. At this point,
that's another story again.
It's Backpedal FC at its finest. But moving on to the next game. The next game I think is also comical as well, more so because Mbappe is like the universal heel of football right now. Dortmund and PSG 1-0. Dortmund advanced 2 goals on aggregate. Dortmund actually had a better expected goals than Bayern, and PSG had a combined expected goals of 5 in both.
Did they score one in the first leg?
0
goals in both games, right?
0 goals in both games combined.
Both were 1-0 Dortmund.
Yeah, it is. That to me is like, for example, again, that is that style, right? And you can say that the Post was wearing Dortmund jerseys the entire night, but this is like, I mean, it's poetic justice for Mbappe, right? I think this is essentially Mbappe's farewell to PSG, and wow, it's always been the issue with Luis Enrique teams. It's always been that issue. Outside of the season, he had MSN. Everywhere else, the Spanish national team, PSG, he's always created, right? He's had 75% possession. He's had the possession. He's had the shit ton amount of shots. Just never can convert. They've never could convert. And then the irony of this whole game is Dortmund just needed one big chance.
Yep.
One big chance on a
Both games,
counterattack, and they
and
scored.
both games,
Both
and
games.
both games. The first game they actually had lots of chances more that they should have scored, and the second leg it would have been done and dusted already. But Dortmund made it hard on themselves because Füllkrug had lots of chances in the first game as well, and I thought that may be biting them in the second leg, but it didn't because PSG did what they are doing the whole season, like missing their chances.
That's it.
It's
Well,
incredible.
and that's the irony of it is like PSG never even adjusted their approach. They just kept doing the same exact thing, and then okay, fine. Dortmund's like, I'm just waiting for that kill shot, and they did.
They did one mistake though, PSG, in my opinion. Like the missed chances and everything aren't on Luis Enrique. I think his game plan was good. They put the pressure on Dortmund, and like when they and most of the game, most of both games, they controlled them. So I don't put a lot of that on him, but he did one mistake that I think brought PSG out of their rhythm. He put pulled Mbappe centrally instead of having him continuously on the left side again, and letting him use his speed and doing cuts and use the speed against Hummels. In a 1v1, for example, Hummels and all those center backs and Riasson on the right are really good in 1v1s. The mistake was to pull him centrally and not use his speed. Like Hummels is 34, 35 years old or whatever by now. Dude, if you give Mbappe some room on him, he would cook him all game. But that was the only tactical mistake in my opinion. Dembele was cooking on the right side, but didn't finish his chances. He hit the
Clave
post.
Ramos missed so many sitters.
Yeah.
So many sitters.
Yeah. And Mbappe, like I said, was the biggest mistake in my opinion to pull him from the left side.
No, you don't, because you want him to stretch the field. Because, for example, and it's like you said, if I'm scheming against Mbappe, if Mbappe is playing in the center, that means I could use Hummels, Emre Can, and then Schleuderbeck, and then I could have those three essentially pinch into the middle, which makes it difficult for Mbappe because Hummels is twice his size and twice the experience as well. Emre Can is an aggressive defensive midfielder. He's essentially
he's old, but he's very physical, and he plays. They pull him a lot, and they pull him a lot back as a third center back, basically.
Yeah, so he plays as an additional. It's like an additional center back. So they're in theory, even though it's lined up as 4 in the back, it's technically 5 because Sean drops in whenever they're playing defensive. So Sean essentially is he's the outlet ball. Like it's the ugly work where it's like he's essentially a Locatelli that knows how to pass out of his final third.
And he drops even further back than Locatelli. He's not that much of a better passer than Locatelli. If we watched, I watched a lot of Emre Can this season, and if you're a Dortmund fan, dude, you want to get rid of him, but their problem is they made him the captain at the start of the season, so they can drop him out of the squad. And he's really not good at the ball, but dude, defensively they are incredible. Because he is basically a fifth center back that plays a bit more up front, and they used him like that yesterday.
Yeah, and Vlad saying we should have never let him go. Blame Maurizio Sarri because Sarri's the idiot that didn't want to include him into the roster.
No, in this squad he would work even worse than Locatelli, in my opinion. Because if you have Emre Can, he plays so much of a defensive pivot. You have to have 2 ball-playing midfielders in front of him, and we don't have that. It wouldn't it would work even worse than it is now.
Yeah, because you would need Sabitzer and you need something like Brandt.
Yes.
To be honest with you, with the remaining teams that I saw in the Champions League draw, I think right now Dortmund probably has the best shot at beating Real Madrid. More so than PSG, more so than Bayern Munich, more than Manchester City, Arsenal.
In my opinion, Atletico would be the best against Real.
Obviously, but they were knocked out
Dude,
a while
he's
ago.
the only guy that beat Real this season, and he did it twice.
I know. But yeah, I think Dortmund's pragmatism will help them because it's a one-off
Yeah.
final. One-off finals are great for pragmatic teams. So that one, I know, for example, you're not playing in the Bernabeu, so Real Madrid's not going to be as aggressive as you saw them today. They're going to be more conservative. So it's going to be like, for example, Dortmund's used to being conservative away. Real's, it's going to be a very good pragmatic match. I mean, to be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a 1-0 game. But credits to Dortmund.
But it also can be a 5-1 for Real or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's either a dirty 1-0 or whatever for Dortmund, or Real will blow them out.
If Real scores early, I could see a blowout happening. But if Real doesn't score early, then it's a lockdown game. It's definitely going to be a lockdown. But credit to them. I mean, Hummel said himself, he was, hey, everybody wanted to play us, and now they get a chance to watch us play at home, watching it with a beer. So
Dash, what do you think? What veggies will the farmers grow there in Wembley in 3 weeks?
I think the farmers are gonna grow some carrots, some cabbages, some lettuce, some tomatoes. I think so. If you look at the weather forecast, we're in for a great harvest because the tears of all the Premier League fans is going to be raining upon the stadium there because their amazing league in the world can't handle pragmatism ball to save their lives. And that's the one thing I've always found it, and I've thrown it up to English arrogance, is that pragmatism has beaten English teams practically all the time.
Yep.
And you would think that they would adjust, but they don't. They absolutely don't. And that makes me wonder.
The fun thing is they tried to, which is why, dude, Arsenal plays with 4 center backs. That's how they played against Bayern, which ironically gave them one less offensive option because they play like 4 center backs. Like they're okay on the ball, but it's still 4 center backs, and you lose offensive firepower. And Manchester City is still Manchester City, but they play 4 center backs, and one of them plays basically a double pivot with Rodrigo. So John Stones is the 4 center back, and he plays 6 and switches back into the back line when Kyle Walker moves forward, basically. So that's how they play defensive style, and it bites them always against teams that stack the box, play a 5-man or 6-man backline even, because they don't have enough offensive players on the pitch, and it bites them all the time.
And they overcommit, and then they overcommit players forward, and then that leaves gaping holes in behind, and that's how essentially you force a set piece, or you force a one quick counterattack, and boom, bada bing, bada boom. So Vlad is saying, is Southgate England's most pragmatic coach right now? Absolutely. And funny that you mentioned Gary Southgate. So from what I've seen and what our good friend Sal sent to us in Discord,
oh my god,
Gary Southgate is looking likely to be the next coach for Manchester United. From Mark Goldbridge on X.
Yeah,
Gary, could you imagine how much of an absolute polar shift you go from Shame Hogg to Gary Southgate for Man United? To be honest with you guys, I think it helps them a little bit. Because it makes them a little bit more defensively solid. Because one of the issues with Man United is, if you've looked in the Ten Thong era, is that he has the biggest loss margins of any Manchester United coach, 7-0 against Liverpool. Like, you have big scoreline defeats in that regard. So I think,
don't forget the 4-0 2 days ago against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, 4-0 against Crystal Palace. So, like, for example, is Southgate going to take Manchester United to prominence? Probably not. I doubt that. But, like, for example, what's going on, Eliad? I think Southgate will help Man United clean their back line problem, because they have a very, very
I don't
bad.
think so.
No, you don't think so?
The problem is Southgate has always his favorite players. Meaning, dude, how long does does Maguire already fuck up in the Manchester United jersey? I'm not here to diss Maguire because in the England uniform he always performs because they give him the trust. And he is a player that performs if he is in a comfort zone. The problem is Manchester United is not a comfort zone, it's a dumpster fire. And if Gareth Southgate goes there, trust me, he will not let them sell Maguire, and he will trust Maguire. And the problem is Maguire can't perform in that dumpster fire. And that takes already one center back away. Rafael Varane is the second central defender, and he is old and can't play anymore. Sorry. Casemiro is still playing for them. The brother doesn't even have legs anymore. Dude, they need 10 to 15 players to clean the squad up. And sorry, but Gareth Southgate is not is not a coach that integrates fresh and young players good. All the time he has the possibility to call young players up to the England national team. He trusts Kyle Walker on the right side. He trusts Maguire defensively. Like instead of Kane is doing good, but instead of giving a chance like once to Ivan Toney or whoever, he still is playing like Kane game in, game out. He doesn't even sub him out. The brother can't do with young players, and what Manchester United will do is going for young players, and they have lots of young players, and it will not work with his philosophy.
Do you think that that Euro loss 4 years ago messed with his thought process on things?
No, he was always like this.
Because like I wonder if he kind of
it didn't change anything with him.
It's just I wonder if he buckled in his shell a little bit more, but I don't know, because you would think, right? They go up 1-0 and then he tries parking the bus the whole game. That was such, I don't know. That's
Dash. He has one of the best fullbacks in world football in Alexander Arnold, and he doesn't give him a single minute because he still trusts Kieran Trippier and Kyle Walker.
Yeah. No, I know.
Dude, since the Euros, everybody is saying, why doesn't he play Alexander Arnold? Granted, Alexander Arnold has his problems defensively, but dude, he is still like his assist numbers, progressive passes, and crosses, and everything is incredible. If he's a fullback, it's incredible, and if he switches into the midfield, he's even better. Dude, Klopp played him as a midfielder this season and put an academy player, Connor Bradley, as a fullback. Dude, yes, Vlad, you're right. He is a liability defensively, but you can't build a squad around that. And dude, I'm sorry, but the English squad is full of talents. Please don't tell me that you can't build a squad around Alexander Arnold. Dude, can you imagine a double pivot with Declan Rice, Alexander Arnold, and Jude Bellingham? Dude, what the fuck is that midfield?
No, that's nuts. No, that's nuts. That's actually
Dude, he doesn't play him.
Well, I mean, I've always said it. Southgate's an idiot. I've never rated him as a guy that knew what he was doing.
He still trusts Calvin Phillips.
I don't understand how he's still their coach.
The last national break, he still played Calvin Phillips, who's at West Ham and doesn't get a single minute on the pitch.
And that's why English coaches have never done anything.
That's the problem. He has these players burnt in his mind that performed good at the last Euros, but play like shit right now. But damn.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. He's not good with talent, not at all.
I don't think he's ever been. Well, I mean, he was at Southampton, so he never knew how to manage. Because, like, for example, England always have those prospects of like individuality. The players are good. It's just collectively, it's always been a mess. But but that was some of the news that we've been hearing. That
sorry, I didn't want to destroy him like that, but
no, I know, I understand.
But it just came out.
Yeah, no, that's fine. There's that. Another coach that we kind of want to give props to is Italiano getting through Club Brugge. Dave's guy gets through and is able to take Fiorentina to a consecutive Conference League final. I don't want to jinx it, but looking at the current result, it might be Olympiacos in Athens, which is going to be difficult because you're essentially playing against a team at home.
Oh yeah,
So
dude,
it's
and those Greek
Greece.
fans,
Yeah,
dude.
Greek fans are nuts.
Yeah,
But it's really the story of Italiano's game, right? Like Italiano, his teams do so much work, but score so damn little. And I mean, granted, right? You're essentially using Andrea Bellotti as your starter, and he carried you to a conference. I mean, he's not scoring a shit ton of goals.
yeah,
I'm saying money, but like your starting line is essentially Gonzalez, Bellotti, Kuname, Beltran, Artur, Mondogra, and then your back line of Dodo, Milinkovic, Quarta,
yeah.
and Biragi.
Dude, it's incredible with this team.
It is nuts.
It's an okay team, but dude, he has them constantly
Mediocre.
in Copa finals or semifinals, and Europa and Conference League semifinals or finals
For
constantly.
for me, it's like when you're looking at it on paper, this Fiorentina side is 10th, 11th place team, quality wise. The fact that he has them in 8th or 7th, where they're on the cusp of relevance, and I don't mean it in a disrespectful sense. So if there's Fiorentina people watching, I don't mean in that regard. But if Italiano does go to Bologna next season, that Misak was predicting, this Fiorentina team's going to fall off.
Dude, trust me,
Relegation.
Italiano, but Bologna would be an upgrade on Fiorentina, 100%. But I think Italiano has bigger visions. Like there are reports of Napoli wanting him, and him being on Milan's list as well. And dude, with those teams, with his tactics, it would fit perfectly like a glove.
I would honestly say,
Dude,
and
Napoli or Milan,
yeah,
if he gets there, couple of players, dude, I'm sorry, but they're for me like favorites with right with Inter.
exactly. To be honest with you, and people might hate me for this, but if you were to come to Juve, I think he would do a better job than Motta.
Yeah.
I think Italiano does better than
Yes.
Motta
Yes.
with his
Absolutely.
current Juventus roster, with his current roster. Because if he is able to make Artur serviceable, because like Artur has not improved. Artur is the same Artur that we had.
Dude, even if he's a bench player, he doesn't have a value anyways. So even if he can give you some production as a bench player, yeah,
Like I said, you've been the biggest advocate. You started the train. I just got on the train, and I think other
yeah,
people are hopping on the express as well. Because, like, for example, I remember listening to your argument, and I'm like, this logically makes sense. Like, this is kind of like a no-brainer, right? This is like, for me, it's like it would be difficult for me to argue against it versus, like, for
yeah,
example, you know, when you look at the squads between Bologna and Fiorentina, like Bologna's squad, and this is where it's like it's Bologna. Like, guys, look at the players that Bologna have in comparison to Fiorentina. You have the corpse of Artur. You have the hunchback of Nostradamus as their main attacking option. Where it's like maybe Gonzalez and Kuname are going to be something that's nice, but like, stop it, folks. Stop it, folks. Nobody wants anybody to be a premier player from Fiorentina. Or it's like you look at Bologna, you got Calafiori, you got the Zirconator. Some people want Orsolini. They want him because he's had a revival to his career.
yeah.
They wanted the Scottish guy before he blew his ACL out. For some reason, I can't
Cool.
think of his name.
Ferguson.
What?
Ferguson.
Ferguson. There we go.
Lewis Ferguson, I believe.
Yeah, you have those people, like decently sized squads want those people. Where it's like you look at Italiano, and Italiano's gotten through like with nothing.
Yep.
And he's playing in another European final with this squad.
Yep.
And it's like, and come on, I don't think so. Like, for example, Dahl, I don't think Motta entirely made these guys. Zirks came from Bayern Munich. He had talent. He just needed the minutes and to get into play in there. This Scottish team that Ferguson is a part of is playing in the Euros for the first time in a while. It's a very good Scottish team. Calafiori came in, grew. Guys, coaches can't make players superstars in 12 months. They can put them in successful positions. They can make use with what they have. If the player has the talent, the player has the talent.
Yep.
That's not all thanks to Motta. It's
And
50-50.
hey, but some of it, of course, is thanks to Motta. The only thing we are saying is that he's not the second coming of Jesus, which everybody wants to say.
That's yeah, and that's where I want to bring that argument is like they're not. He's not this second coming, this player whisperer, because like people were saying that about Italiano before, where it's like, stop it, people, guys.
dude. And also,
coaches can put players in successful positions to win. They like, for example, one of the issues that Vinny had that Zidane when Zidane was at Real Madrid before Ancelotti came back. Zidane did not know how to properly utilize Vinicius. When Ancelotti came in and essentially Ancelotti adjusted the way that the ball flows through and said, Vinicius, I'm going to give you a free roaming role. Use your talent, use your ability. And he did. And he grew. That's where, for example, this is where elite coaches are from De Zerbis, right? Elite coaches are the ones that can sit there and understand what their players' strengths and weaknesses are and put them in a position where their strengths are highlighted and their weaknesses are masked. And then you have system coaches like De Zerbi, like Gasparini, where the players play a specific role in a specific system. And then if they leave, that's it. They're not heard from again.
Yep.
They're not heard from again. And like, for example, with us, and I think, for example, to tie this into Juve, is we've bought so many players that if you look at them now, have gone out and done absolutely nothing. Have done practically nothing. Kulusevski, what, is a fringe starter? Bentancur, whenever he can actually play football, he plays. Romero is one of the most atrocious defenders I've ever seen in my life. De Ligt single-handedly costed Bayern Munich a trip to the final. Is there anything else? Maybe Alvaro Morata, but Alvaro Morata went from a pragmatic coach to a hyper-pragmatic coach.
And still scoring constantly, by the way.
So it's like, I don't know, because I keep hearing that argument where it's just like, there is no one, like, for example, I don't see player like a coach absolutely taking all of our best 11 and turning them into the most amazing thing since sliced cheese. They can put them in positions to succeed, but I don't see it. Because, like, for example,
the talented is too limited.
How far is Kiesa's game going to develop now? He's 26, 27 years old. The only time that Chiesa can have an epiphany if he was the same age as Vinicius back then.
And by the way, he's now a year away from his injury. He should be back like in full force right now. I don't take sorry, but I don't buy the excuse anymore that he came back from the injury. Give him time, dude. It's been a year now.
We've seen other players come back from ACLs and perform. So like, what's the difference on him, right? But we look at it from that perspective. Bremer has hit his ceiling. Bremer is what he is. Danilo, same thing. DeShilio, same thing. Rugani, same thing. I think Gatti has reached his ceiling. I don't think you're going to get a better version of Gatti anymore. This is the best.
Gatti for me is a nice rotation piece that you can have, like a cheap center back option if you need one, but not as a starter if you are actually like playing Champions League and competing again against big clubs.
Yeah, that's it. Locatelli, I think there is no improvement for him. I think he's just a middle of the road pivot, and that's it.
Yeah.
McKennie, I think this is the best McKennie's ever going to get. I don't think McKennie's going to improve anymore. I think if McKennie maintains this level, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Dusan, I think the only player that has the ability to improve more is Dusan because he's shown it. And he's at the age where he can develop. Dusan just needs to tidy up his finishing, tidy up his around the field play, essentially. And I think Dusan will probably be the next, not better than, but close to Mbappe.
Dude, if he doesn't, let's say we keep him next season, if he doesn't score 20, goodbye. You have to be, at some point, you have to show me the consistency.
He should.
It will be his third year. 2.5 years.
He has the ability. I think he should be able to. Like, for example, with the amount of big chances and sitters that he's missed, he should easily be over 20.
Yeah.
Easily. So,
Yeah.
for example, you look at that, and then when you look at it, you need to remember Conte's first team was Madness and the new manager. They had Vucinic and Matri. Dude, everybody in that front line they contributed at least 5 to 6 goals apiece. Matri had around like 8. Vucinic had around 7. There was another one. Quagliarella had 6 or 7. That was a score by committee approach in Conte's first season. And then what happened to Monterrey after? Fell off a cliff. So I'm not going to point out. I'm just going to go for it. So Allegri took a ready-built machine and just made it shittier over time. Okay, great. The team that was
the ready-built machine.
It was okay. So he took a Europa League team that was in the Europa League that lost to Benfica and took them to the final next year. So I don't know how you make that shittier over time. And then he proceeded that season. He knocked out one of the best Real Madrids of all time, lost only to Barcelona in the final off a bullshit non-call by Dani Alves in the box. Had an off season, a transitional season in 15-16, still had one of the best undefeated records, was a bad play by Evra against Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich from beating that Bayern Munich team in Munich, but Evra for some reason forgot to clear the ball. Then the following season, beat the best Barcelona team, held them to 0 goals in 180 minutes, only to have an internal locker room implosion in the final against Real Madrid. And then the following season was a Michael Oliver missed call away from going to another final, in theory. If you want to utilize him saying that he destroyed this team, it was the 18-19 season, Ronaldo's first year, where they spent all their money, and this isn't even on him. They spent all their money on Ronaldo, and the only midfield reinforcement they got was Emre Can. That was it. You had Semi Khedira, who was on his last legs, Blaise Matuidi, who was getting close to the twilight of his career, Miralem Pjanic by himself with Emre Can. That was their midfield. You had Chiellini that wasn't healthy that season. Bonucci was there. He had a Cancelo who couldn't play defense to save his life. And then if you want to talk about Milan had to liquidate assets because Berlusconi was getting ready to sell the club. Berlusconi and them said, essentially, Galliani and all of them were like, hey, well, any player over 30, it's either a one year or 2 year extension for their contracts. A lot of the old guys left. So it's like, come on, guys. Stop with the recency bias.
Yeah.
It's like Gary, now I get a response. It's like Southgate's England just gets lucky. Dude, you cannot, from 2014 to 2018, with that amount of consistency and data, you want to say that that's luck? At that point, that's just bias.
Yeah.
That's not luck.
Dude, if you show it constantly in a 38 game season, it's not luck. It's not luck. Sorry.
Luck is Claudio Ranieri winning the Premier League with Leicester City. That's it. And he says he literally does no management and says to the players, you go for it. And he's admitted that's what Carlo Ancelotti does as well. That's what all old school Italian coaches do. The only difference to the essential interpretation of that was Antonio Conte. That's the only difference. If you ever listen to Claudio Ranieri and if you listen to how Leicester City talk about him when they won the league, he said, let's be organized in the back, up top, have fun. Have fun.
Yeah, young players need freedom. Young players don't need the explicit coaching in their first year. And this is basically Yildiz' first year. It's Cambiaso's first year. It's for all of them. It's their first year. And in their first years, you have to give them freedom to develop instead of putting a corset around them because you don't know what they will develop into. You can't just in the first season say, hey, you play that space, 90 minutes, and or 75 minutes come out of the game. You need to give young guys freedom to develop because you don't know 100% what they can develop into. Dude, Ronaldo switched from a left winger to a central striker at some point.
in
Players
his 30s.
are switching positions all the time. Right now, we don't know if Cambiaso is the best on the right, best on the left, best as a midfielder, for example. You have
Here's
to
the
give
thing.
them freedom to dude, Trent Alexander-Arnold is 24, 25 years old. And we don't know if he's best as a fullback or as a midfielder, but we know he's great and he has all the potential in the world. You have to give the players freedom to develop. So stop putting them in a corset and demanding the coach to say, "Hey, you guys stay on the right side," and that's it.
Here's the thing, right? When you're an elite team, you shouldn't be starting 18-year-olds unless they are the next Messi or Ronaldo.
I have one more point. Can you tell me right now if Yildiz is best on the left, on the right, as an offensive midfielder, as a second striker? Do we know right now what Yildiz's best position is? We don't know it.
I don't.
And that's why you have to give them freedom to develop and express themselves on the field and see what they are. Chiesa showed us that. He's a left winger. Yeah, you're saying second striker. You're saying it because that's the position we needed him right now. But we don't know what his best position is in terms of spacing, dribbling,
he broke out in
passing,
Germany.
crossing.
He broke out in Germany as a left winger in the German
Yes.
national team games. Or Turkish, I'm sorry, Turkish against Germany.
For Turkey, he played left winger. For Bayern, he played
winger.
left and right winger. We're the first team to play him as second striker. So give him time to find his position.
If you are a true successful elite team, you're not depending on 18-year-olds. You're not depending on 19-year-olds. The only time you depend on those when you are essentially the next Messiah. The only teams that depend on players of that age are teams that can't afford anything. That's honestly what it is. Like, for example, you look at Barcelona. Barcelona's playing youngsters, and they're going to run them into the ground like they always do because they don't have a choice. Same thing like us. Yeah. We don't have anything because your first team is not capable enough, and you have to bring in the young players. That's why. That's not a good situation to have. A good situation, a real good situation is you have a youth academy that's producing first-team players. Your team is so competitive that you have to loan them out, and they have to perform where they're at their loans, so they have a fighting shot to get a first-team position. Not where Illing Jr. can walk in and play a couple of games. Yildiz can walk in and play a couple of games.
We don't know what Illing Jr. can do.
No, we don't.
What
plays as a left wing back for the Serie C, the next gen when he was there.
And he doesn't do that good. When we play him as a left winger, he doesn't do good, and he's supposed to be a better left winger. When you play him as a left midfielder with just a little bit defensive responsibility, he doesn't do that. And if we play him as a left wing back, he exposes every single left center back that we play. Doesn't matter who it is. If it's Sandro, if it's Danilo, if it's Rugani, whoever's on the left always gets exposed because Illing Jr. leaves them on an island. So we just need to chill with the positioning and with developing the young players. First of all, you have to let them express themselves on the field and see if they are, number one, talented at all to be in a team like this, and then you find out their positions. This is their tryout season. It's nothing more.
This is what you would normally see young players do at a Genoa, at a Salernitana, at ironically a Bologna, or at a Sassuolo. This is what these guys would be doing,
and we have to do it live right now.
And we have to do it, and that's, again, that is not successful. You want them to go and do that where they figure things out, and then they're competitive enough, and then we can sell them, right? So that's the issue. We don't have proper first team players because we've had to pull in next gen players, and we've kind of gone through this alleyway, and I kind of want to finish this and move on to the next stuff. But guys, this is what we're doing is not an ideal situation for anyone that comes in and takes this gig. It's not. It really isn't.
Dude, it will be, next year will be a struggle as well. It doesn't matter who the coach is. If you all think we get a new coach and he will get us 6 to 7 new players and we will cakewalk to the Scudetto, you are dead wrong. Dude, next season will be hard.
Yeah.
It will be a team that will find himself, that needs to find itself. It's, dude, our players play together since 2.5 years, 3 years now, and they don't have chemistry with each other. It doesn't change within one summer, and it doesn't matter who the coach is. The personalities of the players don't change. Their characteristics don't change. Bad passers don't become good passers. A half-decent striker doesn't become a great striker. Gatti won't be the next Bonucci or Chiellini or whoever.
Yeah, I do see, for example, I don't see Gatti lasting long as a starter unless something like miraculously happens. I don't see it. I don't see it being possible. But here's the next topic. Oh, go ahead.
And just another one. Yes, I don't like seeing starting Alexandro, and it always ticks me off when I see it. But what are our options?
We don't have anything.
What are the options?
There's
A
nothing
driver, a center back with a DUI. Gatti,
allegedly.
Gatti, that's not great on the right side. Sorry, but I don't trust him on the left side. Who is left?
It's nothing.
It's Alexandro.
And even again, like for example, Huijsen, like you can't throw that all on Huijsen. It's just not fair to him either. So that's my thought on that. We can beat this horse until it's
And by the way, Huijsen had to go because if he would sit at the bench or just come in occasionally for Danilo, his value would sink. And Juventus is still a business. We had to send him out on a loan. And by the way, he's not playing at Roma anymore since they switched to the former back line. I don't know if you all recognize that.
No, he hasn't. Weston was amazing as right wing back, and he put him back in the middle. Rookie mistakes.
Because
Dude,
we needed to.
We don't. Doll, we have no midfielders outside of Locatelli and Rabiot. Charlie has been injured for months. Now he's starting to get minutes. Moretti again. Anytime Moretti gets thrown in the midfield, we lose the midfield because he does not have the physicality. It's not there. So it's like, for example, rather play kids. Okay, remember the kid that mismarked against Napoli? Napoli got the go-ahead goal at the end.
Or do you want a Nicolosi again that had 5 touches against Milan? Sorry, against Inter. He had 5 touches or whatever the whole game. Do you want that rather? That is our midfield option.
Because we did that.
Do you want to see kids against the midfield of Çalhanoğlu, Barella, Mkhitaryan, Fratesi? Is that what you want? A midfield of kids? Do you want to see Miretti and Nicolosi play against them?
They would get eaten.
Do you want to see Yildiz getting eaten up by Bastoni, by Dumfries on the right, by Acerbi?
Okay, but like for example, you'd rather play Moretti there, but okay, is that going to be winning football? Is that going to be successful? Unless you're going to find a way to inject him and make him big.
Hey, Miretti is not ready. We have seen it. We have seen it since 1.5 years now.
Like I said, it's beating a dead horse. It really is.
Dude, we don't have the quality for what you demand from the team and from the coach. We don't have the team for that.
Okay, so he wants to talk about Lecce before Empoli, and we'll cover this and then we'll move on. Gosh, that's all the way in February. So the match against Lecce.
Dude, and the team doesn't have the character. As soon as they saw the Scudetto is gone, dude, the mentality went away. The team barely has talent. We overperformed everything. And then we lost focus in addition to that, and that equals a catastrophe. And
so the game against Lecce, midfield 3 of McKennie, Locatelli, and Moretti. Rabiot was out for injury. You want to know who the worst rated midfielder that entire game? It was Moretti. Moretti was the worst one there. Cambiasso and Kostic.
Can you see what Miretti's pass percentage was? Because if you play him in a game like that,
71%.
And that's your creative midfielder. Thank you.
Yeah, 71%. And that was a 3-0 win against.
Hey Dash, do you know what that means? If he has a 71% passing percentage as your creative midfielder,
it's not good.
He loses the ball on 30% of his passes, which equals in a counter attack because you lose them deep in the opponent's half where your midfielders are up front as well. Thank you.
We can look at the match before then. 3-0 against the Swallow. Midfield 3 of Rabiot, Locatelli, and Miretti again. And then Cambiasso, Dusan. So we look at Miretti's pass percentage. 84. Slightly better. Long, accurate crosses, accurate long balls, below 50%. So I'm going to leave it there. I don't want to go on this anymore. We've wasted 10, 15 minutes on this, but we'll go on to the last thing before we close. So the Ultras and J Twitter have gotten into a beef. So the Ultras have threatened to protest. I believe they're going to protest the remaining home games outside of Bologna and the Coppa Italia final because apparently they want Allegri to stay and they don't like Motta. And maybe it's because Motta's an Interisti and they don't want Conte as well. So it's ironic because J Twitter was whining and saying how Juve don't treat the Ultras good. They need to be a lot better on the Ultras. And now that it's flipped and the narrative's completely changed. So they're up against the Ultras and saying, what a bunch of losers. Why are they even wasting their time doing this? Yada, yada, yada. So for me, I find that very ironic. It's more of those, like, I just seriously, like, for me, I've always had the position that I don't really care much for the Juve Ultras. I think it's what they do. I'm not a big fan of it. Yeah, they make a lot of noise, but at the same time, they kind of give themselves a higher purpose than what they really are. They're fans. They're there to support the team, not try to extort the team for free tickets so they can get more, so they can resell them and do stupid shit like that. I've never cared for the Ultras. So for me, my argument stays the same despite what their position is. But for me, it's just more so ironic that you have people like, hey, we need the Ultras this, the Ultras that. So it's all there.
Yep. Yeah, honestly, I don't have a lot to say.
Yeah, I think it was dumb. Vinny saying that offside, though, at the end, Bayern has a case. That was 100% a fuck up by the referee, the linesman.
Yeah.
I think the linesman fucked up there. Because, for example, he blew, and that's where you can have the he said, she said, or what if situations, right? Where if you blow, because, for example, Real Madrid stopped playing. The second they heard the whistle, they all stopped. So Dillet was able to get that shot off. So it's like, I think that's why they didn't consult VAR. I think that was one of the reasons why it wasn't being consulted. Had they continued the play, I don't think they score. In my opinion, I don't think Bayern Munich would have gotten the goal because you can visually tell Real Madrid stopped playing the second they heard the whistle. 100% stopped playing.
Yeah. The problem for me is you have to be consistent. Either you raise the flag immediately in every case, or you let the play just play out in every case. The problem, like, there's pros and cons to both sides. Like to the first one, it is stopping a play and maybe taking away the possibility of creating a goal or whatever. And if you let the play go on, there's possibility of injuries or whatever before, like if there's a foul or an offside or whatever. There's pros and cons to both sides, but in my opinion, you have to be consistent on that.
Yeah, I 100% say the linesman fucked that up. There's 100% on the linesman. That one for me right there is 100% a gaffe by the linesman. He shouldn't have, in my opinion, he shouldn't have raised the flag. He should have let the play go, and Munich could have gotten a chance to finish that play and see what would have happened and what would have gone through it, because it's a difficult case, right? For example, it's very difficult for them to use a VAR when essentially when the flag goes up and the whistle is blown, the play dies the moment the whistle is blown. So, for example, players will switch off. Whereas, for example, if Bayern continues the play, there is no whistle and there is a flag. So the linesman lifts the flag, but there's no whistle. Then it's easy because you can make the case the play was continued, it was blown dead after. Then you can do the what, like, for example, the goal should stand because yada, yada, yada. Because, like, for example, what they did on the Joselu goal, they didn't blow the whistle. None of it happened. And then they did it after the play happened, after the ball went in the net, they did it.
Yeah.
Then they reviewed and did what they had to do. For me, like I said, for the Bayern Munich situation, I don't think they should have blown the whistle. I think they should have just let the play go. And then you find out from there. That's it. But again, Real Madrid owns the Champions League, and they're going to another final where they are odds-on favorites to win it. And, it is what it is. But I think, do you have anything? Because I think we've pretty much hit it all on the head.
Breaking news, a quote by Matthijs de Bench. The linesman said to me, "Sorry, I've made a mistake."
You should tell the entirety of Munich that you made a mistake when you forgot to cover the pass through the middle.
Quote Thomas Tuchel. It was a disaster, an absolute disaster, and it's clear violation of the rules.
Like I said, it's just like I said, they shouldn't have blown the whistle. I don't think he should have.
The clear rule is that the scene must continue. My connection dropped off again.
Yeah.
The clear rule is that the scene must continue. First mistake was made by linesman, second by referee. The linesman said sorry, but that doesn't help.
Yeah, it's honestly, like, for example, like we said, right? Like, if you don't call it for the Joseph Blue and just Joseph Blue, Joseph Lau, whatever, the Rudiger pass, if you don't do it for that, you can't do it for what happened there. I think that's where, like, for example, if you want to start saying UEFA Madrid, fine, you can toot that horn. But I like I said, I think it should have been consistent. They didn't do it consistently. They blew the whistle dead. That throws the entire play out of whack. They should have let it continue, review it on VAR 4. So might as well use it because no one knows how to referee properly. Speaking of referees, go ahead.
No, just the problem is just that the rules and the VAR execution and everything is never consistent. That's the problem. The VAR is doing its job when it gets used, but man, the inconsistency in how it gets used, and yeah, that's the big problem for me.
Yeah. Speaking of referees, and I'll seriously, we'll end it here. Orisato refed his last Champions League game against PSG yesterday. Yep. So it is his last game doing Champions League. He is retiring after the Euros. By the way,
I can't understand how bad of a Serie A referee he is, but that game yesterday was just, dude, he did a great job. He allowed them to play physical. Like, there was a beautiful flow to the game. And honestly, if I hadn't seen his face, I didn't know who the referee was. And dude, that's a great refereeing performance. He bowed out with a good one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's ironic because everybody in Italy hates him. Everybody in Europe loves him. He's like, whenever like other fans, other leagues, like, oh, we got Orisato as our ref, Orisato, and they're like, hell yeah. And I'm like, everybody throws shit at him in Italy. So I don't know, but all right, folks, if you're just joining in, you can catch the replay. We kind of made this a little bit more Champions League-esque just because there is really minimalistic Juve news in the horizon. I'd rather not give these journalists the light of day until I actually start seeing confirmations on shit, because every time I have to cover an article that says should, would, possibly, I expect, I believe,
I want to vomit.
I want to smash my head against a window very vigorously because it is not getting us anywhere to where we want to go. So I'm not going to give them the attention because,
dude, Oscar came in right during the farewell.
I know. He's like, can you guys start early? And we started early for him, and now he just has to catch the replay. But on that note, Canadian Dave does send his regards. He had a dog emergency, so Dave could not be here. Hopefully his dog is doing better. But you guys,
Oh, there
music.
he is. There's Dave in the comments.
There he is. But he got most of it. His dog decided to battle a Sonic the Hedgehog, and unfortunately, it did not go well for it, unfortunately. But on that note, guys, do catch the replay. We did cover again the Champions League. We talked about some Juve stuff as well to keep it Juve relevant. Kind of a longer discussion on players and management styles and whatnot. But we will talk to you guys again this weekend. And it is Salernitana weekend. I believe we just need a win. Win clinches it. If we get a point, which I believe Allegri will get 3 draws just to piss everybody off.
Yep.
Should win Salernitana at home. But all right, folks, we'll catch you then.
Right. And we love you, doll. We love the discussion. It was just we are hearing these arguments so much. But hey, keep the debates up, man. We love it.
We want contradicting opinions. We don't want you guys to be yes men for us, right? We don't want you. Oh yeah, Dave and Dash and Dave, whatever they say is got. No. We don't want that. We want people to come to us. We want people to challenge the ideas. That's how you have a productive conversation.
Yep.
And obviously, you can have more productive conversations on Saturday. So we'll see you guys then.